podcast, entertainment, news, fashion, sports, talk shows, and lots more on Horizon TV.
Good to record.
Good morning, welcome sir.
Morning, Rebecca.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
So the first question I'd like to ask is, how are you feeling?
How am I
Feeling?
feeling? I feel alive. I know I'm living and I really don't move by feelings, but feelings can be deceptive.
Why don't you? Its feelings are important as humans.
No. Feelings can be deceptive. So I try to interpret my feelings, not just the way it comes.
Alright. So the first question, I remember in different conversations we've had in the past, you've spoken heavily about leadership in the country, leadership as people. As a person, what do you define leadership as?
I don't know whether you want me to be intellectual about this or because we have to look at leadership first of all. I think I'm going to be very intellectual about it because that's one area where I think it creates a gap in the way we practice leadership. First of all, leadership is what our word is. And I love to do what studies called etymology. So if you look at the word leadership, it's actually leaders in a ship. So when you talk about leadership, and you look at it within the context of that word itself, it's not about a person.
And what is it about?
It's about a people. It's leaders on a ship. So imagine people on a ship. I'm talking about a ship, either cruise or warship. It talks about, and I would like to use the analogy of a warship, but that's kind of different from a cruise ship. You know. So when you look at a community of people on a ship, one, they have one purpose, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has his own defined responsibilities, and then, like I said, they want to achieve one goal. So leadership is about teamwork. But the way we've looked at leadership here is, the moment you say leadership, our mind goes to a leader.
Is that a bad thing?
It is bad because it's not. You are not going to achieve your stated goals because humans by design are not supposed to walk alone, right? The creator himself, the first thing he found to be wrong is that it's not good for humans to be alone.
True.
Yeah. So that's not Christian, that's not Islam, that's not any kind of religion. It's just basic humanity. Right? So leadership is about a team of humans who decide to share life together in their pursuit of a common goal. Well, I've never seen that kind of definition before.
Never have I.
So that's it. So first of all, when you talk about leadership, you have to talk about it in a corporate sense. It's a communal word. Leadership is plural. Leadership is not one hero, one person trying to do a lot of things. So that's the foundation of the whole subject of leadership.
Now, I asked the question because when it comes to conversations around growth of a people, growth of a community, one of the things people often say is they do not have the right kind of leadership. Now, you say leadership is a communal thing, it's not just one person. What then do you think societies that have developed had that those that are not developed don't have?
Is this. That's exactly what they have. That's what separates developed societies from those that don't develop. Is how they've been able to harness the different giftings of the people. Not just dependent on one hero, not dependent on one strong man or strong woman, and that's the difference. I was privileged to go to I don't know what they call it, is it the Independence Museum of the United States in Philadelphia? They had the statue of all of those who signed the Declaration of Independence and things like that. What happened? This is a group of young people, average age about 25, 26, 27. I think the oldest was about 28. And they locked themselves up in the room and they said they want to come up with a document that will produce the greatest nation on earth. Now they won't leave the place until they produce that document. So it's never what one person can do. That's why when you come to my leadership class, the first thing I tell people is, each one here is leadership is ontological. That is, leadership is basic to being human. Every human is a leader. Every human is a leader. Any society where you have, that narrative of leader-follower dichotomy is a recipe for underdevelopment. So, because it creates like a dependency kind of culture where something goes wrong, you point fingers. Societies grow when anything goes wrong, everybody points fingers at themselves. Something goes right, everybody takes,
responsibility.
Yeah. So that's what you find.
Now, you made mention of how, as a people, we need to be personal leaders. Like you said, everybody's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking, to draw that to business, I've often heard people say business leaders do not have the right kind of mindset to lead. Listening to Simon's in that conversation when he was talking about the power of why, one of the things he said is that leaders eat last. Now, if leaders eat last in your word, if everybody's a leader, does it then mean that businesses, coming down to businesses, that everybody in an organization is a leader?
Mm-hmm.
Or we have people who have been put in place or in different departments who are supposed to head those departments?
Let me break that down again, because every time we talk about business, our minds go to something that's economic. Right?
Yes.
Business is inclusive of economics, but bigger than that. Business is actually life. Everything we do in life, even breathing itself, just releasing carbon dioxide, taking in oxygen, is business. Because it's something that gets your attention. It's what keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
So business is life. The first institution ever created for humanity is adding value, right?
Yes.
Adding value. Everything God created was raw. Nothing was complete. So what brings fulfillment to life and living is you being able to take something raw and making it productive. So it's very important that we understand business from that wider perspective. So business is about making life livable, right? So having said that, I'll come back to everybody being a leader. When you say leader, you are not talking about leading other people primarily. Leadership begins with self-leadership.
What does it mean to lead yourself?
Okay. Can you obey your own rules? If you say you're going to wake up by 5 a.m. every day, if you write an exam and you're going to be the one that's going to grade it, can you still obey? Can you still follow the rubrics? Do you excuse yourself? If you don't wake up by 5 a.m., how do you rebuke yourself sincerely? So the most difficult aspect of leadership is self-leadership. If nobody else is going to rebuke me, punish me, correct me for doing something wrong, reward me for doing something right, will I still do it according to laid down rules? How many of you will snooze your alarm in the morning that you set at 5 a.m.? Or you just angrily put it off? Can you obey? That's where leadership starts from. Because you guys who are given to a lot of motivational speaking that doesn't produce anything, you give in to this that says, you can't give what you don't have. You see, your generation, you've made a lot of empty sentences. that doesn't challenge you. You know why? It's not real. Your understanding of life is so limited. So you talk about leadership, your mind goes to I want to be the boss. You talk about business, I want to do buy and sell so that I can make some money. It's not real. Let me give you the reality of life. Those with a lot of money were never looking out to making money. They were out to add value to something that will actually be of benefit to other people. If you come to my business, if you come to our center, the Center for Transformational Leadership, or we take business, I'm going to give you this for free because you should pay for it. I'll give you for free. When you want to go into business, you need to have eyes that sees, because not eyes see. If you walk out of my office today and you're going out, you see business opportunities. But many times, we just look, we don't see. So business actually starts with seeing. And what are you going to see? What people need. That they don't know that they need it. I did a brief of this some years ago on my radio program, Answers with Dr. Rejo. And I shared this, and two young boys from, Tudunwada here, they started knocking on doors and asking people, can I wash your dogs? Dogs, yeah. And they started washing dogs. Because I have two dogs, two monstrous dogs. It got to a point that even my vet couldn't touch those dogs because I don't want pets. I wanted guard dogs because they are better than security men. So this guy started, because people didn't know that they actually needed somebody to keep their dogs clean. So when those guys got back to me, I said, okay, you now need to take the next step. Right? Acquire skill, because regardless of how wild a dog is, I have dog phobia, even I have dogs. Regardless of how wild, there are skills on how to tame dogs. True. So you need to go and acquire that kind of skill. Maybe get a policeman. So that's the first thing. I don't want to go too much into it. Business begins with you seeing what people need. Reality of life is that people only know what they want, don't know what they need. So when you make them realize what they need, they will pay anything for it.
In making them realize what they need, so like you mentioned, it's about seeing. Mm-hmm. So you see the opportunity. You also mentioned getting the skill. Mm-hmm. How then do you convince them that they need it? Because like I said, some people do not know they need those things. Mm-hmm. And so you can come to them and say, hey, I think you need this, and they probably say, hey, nah, I don't.
No. If they need it, you bring them into the reality. They can't deny that they need it because they never. It wasn't their blind side. It wasn't their blind side. You might not even know that there are better ways of doing things. They might be doing it, but you just introduce, a better way of doing it. It's always an aha moment. Oh, really? That's it. And I've also seen a kind of a refrain from, you guys. When I talk about you guys, I talk about you that call yourself Gen Z or this kind of guys that you see a lot of problems. You see impediments. You see bumps in the road. Yeah. But it's your interpretation of those bumps and those impediments and those challenges. Because you always look at it as an opportunity to do nothing. To walk around it, not walk through it.
Can you walk through every problem?
Of course. If you see a problem, you know why you see the problem? You can't read a medical diagnosis. You know why? You don't know the solution. Because you're not a doctor, you're not trained in that. If you can see a problem, it's because the solution is inside of you. If you don't see it as a problem, you might be presumptuous and you just run into it. But if you see it as a problem, the reason you are seeing it as a problem is because you have the solution. If you walk into a room and they play music and you just move, but somebody comes in and says, "Oh, that's a wrong key." That guy is a musician, right? That means he has some skill in that area. So Yeah. But you listen to any kind of music, you see that video that doesn't, it's not a musician, it's just one. I'm sorry, I just have to do that job there. This is not music. I listened to music in the 80s when music was an art. Right?
Yeah.
So I can't take nonsense. I can't take organized noise. So if I listen to music because of my interest, my skill, as maybe as a former DJ, as somebody who critique art, I can walk through it. I know exactly how that thing can be done better. I don't want us to go too far from what we're talking about. Leadership has to be in place before you venture into business. Leadership has to be in place before you even venture into friendship. Leadership has to be in place before you even, if whatever education you are exposed to doesn't give you some basic elements of leadership, the word leadership might not even come out. You can't go into marriage without understanding leadership, either you are male or female, because every human being, we are all created to be leaders. Let me give you an instance of a culture in this country where you have the best economic kind of development. The Igbo culture. They say Igbos don't have kings. Everybody's a king, right?
Yeah.
That's it. It might go negative, but if you come to the north here, where you have the Rakadede kind of culture, poverty. It's not rocket science. Poverty. Have you ever seen an Igbo man as a beggar?
No.
It's rare. Very rare. I don't even think it exists. Very rare. Number one, if you go to Alaba Market in Lagos and you walk into a shop and you say you want to buy an equipment, they will never tell you they don't have it. It's in our other shop.
Yes, there's always another shop.
It's a community. It's always in the other shop. It's not far because every Igbo man is a king. The Igbo culture is I think it's the oldest democracy on earth. I'm not Igbo, but I've studied it. The Alaba market model is now being studied in Harvard. My brother set me up. It's a business model in Harvard Business School.
Why then don't we, like you said, why then as a people don't we use such models in our businesses? Why does it seem as though we do our MBAs here in the old business?
Because we're blind. We only look, we don't see. Yeah. We only look, we don't see. Because we don't understand leadership. Every human being, you have something you do very well. And you have things that you can't do. But the leadership you don't have inside of you is always around you. I'm talking to you right now, there's some people videoing us. You can't be talking and still be doing the video. The reason we can have this production, because everybody is taking responsibility. Everybody in this room now, we are leading. Right? That's it. You can't tell someone to think, or you can't help somebody to think. You can only tell the person to think. So basically, you are telling the person to do what he can do. So when you now bring it down to the individual, a good leader is the one that calls forth the leadership in other people, or the leader in other people. That's a good leader. But the one who wants to be boss, right? The one who doesn't want others to think, that's not a human being. That guy is better in the museum, or he's better in the zoo or something. And that's what we find in our businesses. And I see that, I'm sorry, I don't want to forget. I see that among, again, Emeka, I'll talk about your generation. I hear things like, I don't want to work for anybody. But ask them, you want people to work for you? You don't want to be someone's staff, but you want to have staff. Imagine somebody saying, everybody says I don't want to work for anybody.
Who works for them? Who
will work for you? Because you can do everything. But we have a system, a culture, a leadership kind of reality in Africa that is a reaction to our colonial past. It's a reaction to our, to our history of slavery, which by now we should have overcome, right? But we kind of, because it actually benefits some people. So they like the fact that young boys are on the road carrying a bowl, begging for money. They have, even those who are not begging for money with a bowl, they wear designer suit, they are still beggars, right? They are still beggars, they're looking, okay, I'm the next one. I hear all the nonsense people talk about next level. Say, I've never had a definition of this next level. Because the next level is like a destination. There's no destination in life. Life is a continuous process. Success is not a place.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. Right? Even in death, it's still a learning process. Right? I don't know what it means to die because I've never died. So the day I die, I learned what it means to die. That's it. So there is no, there are a lot of things that you people need to really learn. And maybe you don't need to learn anything. Maybe you need to unlearn a lot of things. Because you are like an experience I had years ago when my daughter had a fractured arm and I went to Luth in Lagos. And there was this young boy there who had a fractured arm and it didn't heal badly. So the surgeon was saying that they have to deliberately break the arm again. And that's what it is. They have to break that arm so that it can now properly set. So your generation is like you've been formed badly. There are a lot of things you believe that doesn't exist. Right? Yeah. You will just get to a point, you just notice, oh, I'm 50. Where did the 25, 35 years go? That's it.
You made mention of beliefs of young people. I was going to bring you that. I was reading a book recently by Stephen Bartlett, and he made mention of the 5 buckets a person should fill. Number 1, he talked about the skill bucket, that young people should ensure they fill their skill buckets, and then on the skills you want to. He also talked about the relationship buckets and all of that. One of the basic thread that cuts across many of this conversation, like he also mentioned, is the mindset. As young people in Nigeria, he also said that we believe a lot of things that are not real. How do we change the mindset? In different conversations we had before, you've talked about how terrible education is. So when you say going to school might sound a bit off it. How do young people, in a system that some would say persistently works against them, change their mindset to become the kind of leaders that would achieve the kind of things they think they deserve?
That book you mentioned is very good. But again, most of these books we also read is written from a particular context that's different from ours.
Yes.
So when they say acquire skill, very good. Right? But the first skill you need to acquire, because the Western context is a verb-oriented context, a doing context.
Yes.
Right? Our context is a being context, which is more consistent with being human. Right? Yes. So when you say acquire skill, first of all, that skill you want to acquire is self-discovery. It's not ability to perform a task. It's self-discovery. Because that's why you have a lot of copycats. Something works, everybody goes there. Oh, somebody's rapping and is making a lot of money. Somebody is doing this, and all that. So there are a lot of people who are just plagiarized humans. They are someone else. They are just copies. I had to ask my daughter, to give me an information. She recently attended a Trevor Noah, right? Is that the name of it? Trevor Noah, event in O2 Arena in London. And I said, how much was the ticket? It says £93. A McJ Larry here will charge 1.5 million, 2 million. If you want a special ticket. I can't go and watch McJ Larry for free. Right?
Yes.
I can't. That's me. I'm not saying it's bad. I can't. Do you know him?
No.
Okay, it's a guy who does some comedy. I like his comedy stuff on Instagram. I can only spend my data to listen to him for 2 minutes, for a few seconds.
Why?
Because what he has is not for a theater, but because of how our minds have been so warped in this context. You see, Trevor Noah is not a comedian.
No, he's not a comedian.
He's a satirist. That's what you call that kind of person. You go there, you learn, you laugh. I can't go to Magilla. I can't go to Basketmouth. I can only watch their little products on, because they don't teach me anything. But you see, we have a laughing culture here. There is nothing we can make. If I want to put it in a religious setting, it's a demonic assault. Right?
Yeah.
This culture of comedy, where everything, when I was growing up, if you're an MC, right, you're a philosopher. The culture of seriousness, serious business, has gone out of. That's why you don't see creativity. You don't see it. That's why you have a lot of talk, nothing concrete. The things we celebrate, they will go out in another 6 months. We'll be looking for another one. So there must be a group of people there who, like you say, how do we change it? You people are approaching life with, this perspective of a journey towards being an expert. But you need to approach life, as a learner. I just want to learn. I describe myself as a lifelong learner. I want to learn. I watch a child, I'm learning. I watch TV, I'm not just listening. I'm not just enjoying a movie, I'm learning. What are you trying, I'm having a conversation with the movie. I'm having a conversation with the music. It's difficult for me to be excited without basis. Right? Yeah. So I can say that the culture of being serious-minded is disappeared. If you are talking, somebody, if I read anything on the social media or anything, I want to go check the comments. Then you see how clueless, Nigerians are. And the clueless ones are the loudest. So everybody thinks Nigerians are clueless. No. I saw a little clip. It was my nephew that posted it. Maybe you've seen it too. A guy was in the park and the photographer approached him. Said, I want to take your picture. I see you're cool and have style. And the guy said, no, I don't have style. I'm not cool. And I said, no, the way you appear. And the guy said, okay, you can do that. And the photographer asked again, what's the... In fact, the guy is Yoruba, and this thing I think happened somewhere in Europe. I said, what's the symbolism of this chain that you're wearing? So I just went to Lisbon, Portugal, and I discovered that Portugal played a critical role in the slavery in Africa. And this chain is just a reminder that it's a long journey for us to walk free. This guy was just dishing out some lines that will make you think. See, you have a very calm demeanor. What's the secret? Say that came out of pain. The guy walked away. You see very few comments in that kind of video. But let somebody be dancing. Right? Let somebody just be jesting. Yeah, you see all kinds of. So I'm kind of worried because the current political setup, the current business setup, the current social setup, might be. We went to Fela's shrine to go and learn, even with some drags of spliff. You still learn, right? Yeah. You still learn. You can't listen to Fela's music and not learn. As crazy as it was, but look at where we are. You listen to music, you say, why am I money? And all this. I mean, it's nonsense. It's wasting you. You are leaking. You guys are leaking. You can keep putting water in a basket, you can't retain it. You need to step out. Right?
Yeah.
Because people are benefiting from it. The political class, the business class, right? They ask Bill Gates a question. Who are your main competitors in those days? He said, I'm not afraid. And the guy preempted it. Is it Oracle? He said, no. He said, my main who are learning, they are my main competitors. My response is to ensure they work for Microsoft.
So, lastly, before we end this, as people, I'm going to use young people because that's for me, this is my target audience. As young people who do not have the kind, let me use the word, the kind of opportunities that they think they deserve. You've also mentioned that what makes a business a business is having the eyes to see. Mm-hmm. Is there a way where people can develop the right kind of eyes to see? And secondly, every time, like you mentioned, we talk about leadership, it's about community. But young people many times just want to be their own bosses. Can we create a system? Can we do something to ensure that young people know how to see? And when they see, they know how to collaborate to solve the problems that they see.
Yeah, but that's the third level. See, right?
Yes.
Create the awareness of the need, build partnerships. Right? Build partnerships. So, how come they can't see? They were trained not to see. Right?
Yeah.
Life is about orientation. Life is a school. You know, I mean, when I teach workplace strategies, I often ask people, what's your first job? People talk about the first job you did to earn money. I say, did you have any household chores? That's your first job. That's your first job. That's where you learn the basic principle of work. So it's not that you're going to sit in a class or in a seminar or in a webinar and then they teach you 7 steps to see. No, it's about interaction. It's a kind of environment, and you're creating that kind of environment with this your podcast. Because people are hearing this now. People are hearing about possibilities. Well, I didn't know that. I mean, I'm looking at an area of life that has actually shaped my generation, which is arts. Right?
Yeah.
I still listen to music of the 80s. Right? I listen to music of the 80s. I listen to Fela a lot. I listen to Ebenezer Obey's Sunny Ade when I want to listen to music that is just a sound. I listen to people like Dan Mariah. You know, I don't understand what he's saying, but I sort of like the strings. And if you look at the arrangement, you know that this is skillful. You know, I watch movies. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. Right? So there are a lot of things that, you know, the environment that we create, the kind of world that we choose to be part of. So a lot of your generation need to, you know, choose that this is leading nowhere. Because there's a lot of things that's hidden in life. Even scientifically it's been proven that human beings only understand maybe only about 4% of what makes this earth. Right?
Yeah.
96% of it is unknown. But that 4% is enough. Somebody was giving a talk on the benefit of sleep this Sunday. And he said, sleep is still a mystery even to scientists. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand what it is. Because sleep is just more than closing the eyes and, you know, that sleep opens you to another world and you quickly caution yourself. I'm not trying to tell you that I know what sleep is because he's a scientist. We don't know. But the ones we know, I know by experience, when I'm well rested, I'm very effective. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that you know, the orientation, the people that teach you are not the guys in the classroom. They are musicians, they are fashion designers, they are movie actors, you know, they are business persons. I gathered a group of teenagers to my program years ago, and one of them made a very reckless statement. You know, if I still see him today, I will still correct him again. So I told my dad, where were you when Dangote was making his money? I said, as an African, that's very rude. If you tell my dad that, you would never talk again. You will never, in fact, you can't even do that. Because the parameters that we use to measure success is material. It's money. Right?
Yeah.
Because where you see poverty. So, your podcast, the reason I'm very, very much interested in this is that see it as you are creating a platform that will make people rethink, right? Online, you know, take a look at themselves, you know, and we see a lot of things, like I said, people ask you, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? It's a stupid question. You don't even know who you are going to be in the next 2 minutes. How do people die? They didn't take the next breath. Does that not mean you don't plan? No. Right?
Yeah.
But reality should come into your plan. Always recognizing that it's a realm beyond your control. Most of the plans we make, you guys make, they are outside of your control. Yeah.
So I tell you the last question. last one.
Okay.
All right. So in the book I'm working on, I was just want to get your perspective on it. I was talking about how the idea of purpose being a singular entity that you work towards is not ideal and doesn't exist. Do you think that as humans, let's use young people, there is a singular purpose that you are meant to be? Or, like you also mentioned, the process of becoming is a journey that never ends, and every day you discover new things.
Now you open a new vista in this whole discourse now. Because, first of all, I hope I'm not too, mysterious about this. There is nothing called I want to discover my purpose. No. Your purpose finds you out. Right?
Yeah.
And really, human beings don't have a purpose. Human beings are tools for a purpose. If everybody in Nigeria has a purpose, in fact, that's the reason why we are the way we are. Every Nigerian citizen should be a tool, a weapon, a channel for the Nigerian purpose. Your purpose brings you to be part of something bigger than you. The moment you individualize purpose, you are just a failure going somewhere to happen. Because you're going to use people, right?
Yeah.
When you use people, when they come and be part of what you are doing and they don't see themselves as part of it, you're just using them. They're just out to, it's just a matter of time before they'll sink your ship. And that's why today you see, even in the business world, in the work world, you see a lot of talk now about employee engagement. That's where I teach, the world of work. And I say, when we continue to say employee engagement, we will still continue to have a problem. It must be staff engagement. And even the employer is a staff. Right? Yeah. It's a staff. So we want to see staff human engagement. So purpose, the way you guys approach it, you've individualized it. My purpose. You can't have. I'm very sure you've had the analogy of the moon not having light.
And then
What you have as moonlight, the moon positions itself as an angle to the sun, and the sun shines through it. That's what you see. So there are many things that we need to learn to be part of something, not be something.
Right, my final question. If you were to give my final question, I promise this one. If you had to give an advice to young people, what would that advice be? A philosophy somewhat that you can hold on to? And also, two-pronged question. If there are 2, 3, 4, 5 books you think young people should read to be able to change their mindset and get them thinking the right way, what are those books be?
First of all, no books. See yourself as a book being written. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. The book you are going to read, I'm not saying don't read books, right? But don't read books so that you want to get a blueprint for life. Not even the Bible. Right? The Bible is not a book for a blueprint for life. The Bible is an invitation to a conversation. I believe the Bible is the best book in the world. It's even not a blueprint. It's not a book for formulas on how to live. That's the way some Christians see it, you know. But if there's something I will, in a simple way to advise them, learn. Be a learner. Right?
Yeah.
Be a learner. Prioritize small. Value small. Because everybody go for big. You know, you post something small on Instagram, you want to see how many people have liked it. We go for numbers, we go for, big stage, all those kind of value small. Right?
Yeah.
Value small. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lele, for being part of this. This has been an amazing conversation. Hopefully we'll have more episodes in the coming months or years. And when we get to 1 million subscribers, I'll probably give you a plan ahead.
Okay. Millions, right?
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.